What's up guys? We know that the LT2 will debut with the 2020 C8 Corvette, but what did they do different with it? Well, let's start with the obvious. The LT2 is part of the Generation 5 small block V8 family, which includes the LT1, LT4, LT5, and the truck versions. But it's mostly derived from the LT1, which it replaces. And you can see the items they share right here on this screen. Feel free to pause the video to review, as I will be moving to the next topic. So what were the revisions to the LT2 that differentiates it from the LT1? Let's start with the stainless steel exhaust manifolds, which are equal length in design and merge into one collector, which should alleviate cross-contamination between cylinders and provide better flow. And going downstream from here, you go into the exhaust system, and it should be very short because of the mid-engine design, so it should also reduce weight, and of course there should be less plumbing. There is an optional performance exhaust that increases power and torque by 5 each. Now onto the intake manifold, which is an equal length high-rise design. The LT1 is shorter since it's designed for hood clearance and visibility. That's no longer a problem now since it's mounted mid-engine. Looking behind the 3.2mm thick glass hatch, I think they did a really good job on the intake manifold design compared to past ones. A dry sump oil system is typically found on race cars and now standard on all C8 Corvettes. It is necessary to provide an adequate supply of oil to critical areas of the engine, especially when extreme G-forces are experienced. A dry sump allows the oil pan to be shallower, therefore making the engine sit closer to the ground, and also lowering the center of gravity. Now, part of the dry sump oil system includes 3 multi-stage scavenge pumps, 1 located in the valley of the engine and 2 in the crankcase. Oil typically flows downwards through the passages in the valley and onto the crank of the LT1, creating slight power losses, but they have now been sealed on the LT2 to prevent this from happening, which is why there's a scavenge pump in that location now. The naturally aspirated LT1 is rated at 455 to 460 horsepower at 6,000 RPM with 465 pound-foot of torque at 4,600 RPM. The LT2 is rated at 490 to 495 horsepower at 6,450 RPM and 465 to 470 pound-foot of torque at 5,150 RPM. Notice that the LT2 makes power higher in the RPM range, which is most likely due to a combination of the high-rise intake manifold, the exhaust manifold, and the camshaft. Here's a comparison of the C7 and C8 Corvette cluster, and since I mentioned the camshaft, it's been revised for higher RPM performance. Oh, and other changes include relocation of the coil packs to the sides of the engine for heat management and aesthetics, and also a new water pump and accessory layout to accommodate the dry sump reservoir. There are already aftermarket parts available for the LT1, LT4, and LT5, which will swap over to the LT2, like camshafts, heads, stroker kits, nitrous, and more. Maybe even a large Whipple twin-screw supercharger, which would have never fit in previous Corvettes without removing the hood. And let's not forget a twin-turbo setup, which would look right at home back there. The tricky part to modifying the LT2 is that it's supposed to use the GM E99 ECU. It's encrypted and hard to crack. The LT2 engine is attached to an 8-speed dual-clutch transmission manufactured by Tremec called the M1L for beyond human shifting speeds, and it's also designed to be intuitive. The dual clutch will allow the LT2 to operate within its power band, making for very responsive and seamless shifting. There's a long first gear which helps with launching, with a carefully selected 2nd to 6th for peak operation, and long 7th and 8th for cruising or fuel economy. Of course, there will also be a launch control feature which should help with the 0 to 60 times of under 3 seconds if you have the Z51 performance package. And this is where I'm going to end the video, guys. If you found this video informational, hit that like button and also share it to support my channel so I can get more content like this out to you guys. Also, let me know what you think about the LT2 engine in the comment section below. I'll see you in the next video.